you know, with me coming in, I know people get excited and say, well, okay, this or that, and Brian's this, because, you know, it's not hard for me to walk around at 400 pounds or over 400 pounds. It's very easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been up to like closer to 470 pounds, like at, you know, maybe my biggest 460 to 470.
Will Brian Shaw get to 470 pounds to compete in arm wrestling? Guys, I was just watching the podcast that Brian had with Devin a little while ago, and as we saw from the beginning, there's a time on the stream that, in terms of size, Brian says he doesn't really have any issue bulking up. Like, he now sits at 400 pounds, or 180 kilo, and that's just his weight when he's not actually preparing for nothing, which funnily enough, is exactly the weight that Levon mostly competes in. But then Brian says that when he was competing for strongman, the most of weight that he's ever put on was around 460 to 470 pounds, which surpasses 210 kilo. So then, when we look at the numbers, size-wise, Brian does surpass Levon, but does the weight itself actually matters? Well, the answer is no. In order to make your weight useful in arm wrestling, first of all, you need to know how to use it, applying the right technique for your hand to access your body weight. And with that, there's additional things, such as speed and different styles of pulling. Secondly, when you bulk up, you must add quality mass, and that quality mass comes from the heavy lifting. Although, all of that heavy lifting must be focused on transitioning that same strength to the arm wrestling table. For an example, if I'm doing a heavy bench press, I must not focus on the lift itself, but yeah on how that's gonna get me a bigger frame and tricep, and how stronger will I be if I get in a press position. And this is just one example. You know, pretty much every single upper body work can be translated into arm wrestling strength. You just need to conciliate it. So, the bottom line is, Brian outweighing Levon in a future match can indeed be useful, but only if that weight can be translated into arm wrestling strength. But what about you guys? What's your thoughts on Brian competing in arm wrestling with a heavier weight than Levon? Leave down in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.
I have to have a respect of arm wrestling. I have to have respect of the sport and learn it inside out.
Yeah.
Right. And I understand that. So it's not, I don't have any delusion of like, hey, next week, Levon, let's hop on the table, man. I'm just gonna rip your arm off next week. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.